What's shaking, my friends? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Shay, and today we're going to start a new kind of series on the channel, one that I am very excited about. So if you are new to the channel, welcome. If you're not new to the channel, you know that I have decision fatigue. I use wheels for everything to pick what I read, just about everything. And because I can't just make a decision to save my life, and that's in every facet of life, ask my husband. So I have been wanting to try different genres, maybe that I haven't read a lot of, and maybe I will like them. I think to myself that that will make me have even more decision fatigue, because if I add more genres I love to read, then I'm gonna have more books to read and a bigger decision to make. But that's okay. That's okay, because that is never a problem in my eyes. So we are going to start a series on the channel. Basically, what I have done is I have compiled a wheel of two separate wheels. The first wheel has all of the books in historical fiction, literary fiction, and nonfiction that are widely beloved. People have recommended to me all of the things on that wheel. I have not read that much historical fiction, and the historical fiction that I've read I haven't liked it the best, if that makes any sense. But I haven't read enough. I've probably read 5 to 10 books in the historical fiction space. So not enough books to really make a decision of whether I like a genre or not. Literary fiction, I have loved some literary fiction books. Loved them. And why I don't pick up more of them, I don't know. And then nonfiction, it's a mixed bag for me. I feel like I have to be like in the headspace to read that nonfiction. I don't know, but there are definitely some nonfiction that I just am dying to read and never reach for and never pick up because it's just not a genre that I gravitate to. So I put all of these books on one wheel. My historical fiction, my literary fiction, and my nonfiction. I will be spinning the wheel and I will be reading that book in this vlog. Okay. Then I have another wheel of another genre that I would like to explore more of. I have read some of this genre and I haven't really jived with most of the books I've read from this genre, and that's going to be fantasy romance, but it is a genre that I would love to explore more of. So I've put all the popular ones, all of the ones that I've recommended, all the ones that are widely beloved fantasy romance on this wheel. I'm going to spin it and I'm going to read that one in this vlog. So 2 books are going to be read in this vlog. I haven't quite decided whether I'm going to do this every couple months, every 3 months, quarterly, I don't know. But we will see how this one goes and figure it out from there. But let me go ahead and pull up the historical, literary fiction, nonfiction wheel. And let's see what we get. All right, I have my wheel here and I don't know if y'all can see that. We're just going to spin it. I'm slightly nervous. Okay, so this is The Women by Kristin Hannah. I have read Kristin Hannah before and loved Kristin Hannah. I think, to be honest with you though, I think The Nightingale was my least favorite book of Kristin Hannah, which is like the most popular historical fiction of all time. The Women was like the most checked out book from the library last year, so I feel like I'm missing out. I do have some people at work who have read The Women and recommended it to me. I know it will probably rip my heart out into pieces, but I'm looking forward to reading it. So that is the first book that I'll be reading for this vlog. Let's switch over to the fantasy romance wheel. Get it to focus. I'm very nervous about this. I don't even know what that says. Kingdom of Blood and Salt. I have no clue what this is. Let me look it up. This is by Alexis Halder, an epic enemies to lovers fantasy romance. So I always get scared, you know, when you look on Goodreads. Not that I love Goodreads, but it's just one that like the most reviews are on. And it never failed that the first reviews of most books are the 1-star reviews. So when I scroll down to look at reviews, like it's all 1-star. I'm like, and then I have to scroll myself back up to the average rating of the book and just to ensure myself that like this book didn't just get all 1 stars. So this has 14,485 ratings with a 3.96 star. That's fantastic. This is a book that I will be reading. There's no audiobook, I don't believe, but it's okay because I can read some fantasy romance physically. I don't have a problem with it. So that's the book that I'm going to be reading. If you've never heard of it, maybe I will love it and start a new thing where everybody's reading this book. I don't know. But we will see. I don't know where I got this recommendation from. It came out in 2023. I think it is a 4-book series. It is. We'll see how I like the first book and if I'm going to continue on. I'm super excited about this vlog series and getting acquainted with some different genres. I'm always looking for books to like recommend my work friends or just people in my real life in general. And I feel like some of the books I read, like they don't really jive with those genres. Like I don't have many epic fantasy readers or sci-fi readers or, you know, mystery. I do have some mystery thriller friends, but none of the genres that I normally tend to read. So I'm looking to get into some more genres that are recommendable, if that makes sense. I'm excited. Let's get started. I will come back here when I have something to say about one of these books. Okay, so I am about 27-ish% into The Women by Kristin Hannah. I am liking it so far. We are following our main character who has joined the army in order to kind of make a difference. She is a nurse. She graduates from school as a nurse, but her parents have this expectation of her that she will just be a nurse until she finds the perfect man to marry, and then she will go off and marry that man and of course be a housewife. And then she blindsides them and says, no, I'm gonna go and enlist and I'm going to go make a difference. Meanwhile, her brother has also enlisted and some things happen there, but she goes over to Vietnam to serve as a nurse, and it's all about her becoming a nurse, how that changes her, the people that she meets over there, the bonds that she forms over there, and I'm enjoying my time. Kristin Hannah always has had a way with words, in my personal opinion. She really is known to hook you into a story. There's been a point in here I think that I was supposed to cry, but I'm listening to this on audio, and typically my ability to cry normally comes only when I'm reading physically. So listening to the audiobook, I don't have any tears. I think there are parts that are sad, absolutely positively, sure. But I don't have no tears have been shed. But I am enjoying my time, which is, it's not that I didn't expect to enjoy my time. I always have enjoyed my time with every Kristin Hannah book I have read. I just didn't expect this kind of like war story to be enjoyable for me, or as enjoyable for me as it is. So I'm going to keep reading. I have not started my fantasy romance yet, but I will start it soon and I will check back in. Okay, let's talk about this book, Kingdom of Blood and Salt. I'm 20% in, and unfortunately I have decided to DNF. Now, this could be because of several different things. Is this because I read this book physically, and generally I don't read my fantasy physically? Sure, but I've read a lot of different fantasy romance books physically with no issues. The biggest thing is that this is an insta-lust story, and a lot of people like insta-lust. I have seen people ask for that recommendation all the time. So this is a book for somebody. Clearly there's like 13,000 reviews and it almost has a 4-star rating. So take my review, of course, with a grain of salt. But this book is basically following our main character. She is a bastard of the king. The king has all girl children. She is a bastard of the king. The only thing that she wants to do is go and fight in the war. So we know that there's this Fae kingdom, and every so many years he comes, and basically the human world, this is the last human settlement, human peoples in the entire world. The Fae King, I think it's the Fae King, comes, and the human world has to sacrifice some of their people. It's called like the choosing. And nobody knows what happens to these people when they get ripped away out of the world. They're never seen again. And we know that we have vampires in this world. We know that we have dragons in this world. It's just by 20%, not really clear about what the world actually entails and the fantastical parts of the world actually entail. But it's time for the choosing, which happens like every 9 years or something. Maybe 14 people go. I'm not really sure, but it is time for the choosing, which I think happens once every 9 years. And the ambassadors to the Fae Kingdom come, and of course the head ambassador is going to look at her and immediately lust after her, and I just have a problem with that. I like a little bit more slow build. It's just basically I just didn't care for it. Very possessive to start with. It's just not my thing, but it could be your thing. And then I read reviews that basically said that he is with a lot of other women in this book, and if that's not your thing, I probably would steer clear from this. He did, obviously, during the 20% of my book, it was implied, it was on page, but it was implied that he had had some other romantic encounters with at least 2 other females by the 20% mark. So if that's not your thing, definitely skip past this one. So I'm going to DNF it, just to be fair to this author and this book, because it is clearly not a book for me. Am I giving up on fantasy romance? The answer is no. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and spin for another fantasy romance book because I feel like I need to complete at least one fantasy romance book in this video, because I feel like the purpose of it is to find out what kind of fantasy romance I like. And since I've already DNF'd this one, I know I don't like this one. Let's pick up another one. Let me get the wheel. And to be fair, I really hadn't heard that many people talking about the book I just DNF'd. So maybe it's because, you know, it's not as popular as some of these others, but we're going to go ahead. We have a wheel with a lot of books on it, and we're going to spin it. And yes, the sun is bright today. Okay. Wolf Gone Wild. So this is like a paranormal fantasy romance that I've heard a lot of people talk about. So maybe I will have better times with this one. I'm not the biggest fan of a paranormal romance, like shifter romance. I know there's a lot of people like really into that, and I haven't read that many, to be fair. I haven't read that many paranormal romance. I love the Kate Daniels series, so, you know, I obviously am not opposed to it or I'm against it, but I think I just need to read maybe some more of it, which is the purpose of this video. So I'm going to read Wolf Gone Wild, and I will come back when I have some thoughts. Alright, so I'm about 56-ish% into The Women by Kristin Hannah. I really am enjoying my time in this book, although the tone in this book is very bleak. I don't think there's many happy things that have happened in this book, and we're of course not supposed to have these happy things happen in this book, right? I feel like a lot of historical fiction is bleak, but I do like that. I do like when books pull emotions out for me. Again, I haven't cried yet, even though there have been multiple things happen that should have made me cry. I did kind of feel myself tearing up a few times. I think that at the 50% mark in this book, we've kind of shifted into a different kind of story, and without spoiling anything, because I can't in this vlog, I am still enjoying my time, but it is like a shift. So I'm kind of like gearing myself up to enjoy this shift that has happened. But I am enjoying my time. I feel compelled to continue on. I honestly don't want to put this book down at this time to do anything else, which is the hallmark of a good book, right? So I don't know if at the end of this is going to be such a successful vlog, because I think I've already established that I do like Kristin Hannah and I like her writing style, but does this mean that I like historical fiction? I don't know. We'll have to see whenever I do the next round of this and possibly read a different author, whether I like historical fiction as a whole or whether I like Kristin Hannah. Again, I'm only 55% into this book, but I'm going to continue going, and I'll check in maybe when I finish or when I have some kind of different thoughts. Alright, so I finished The Women yesterday. Let me just tell y'all, I ate that gosh darn book up. When I hit like the 50% mark, I was like flying through. I was like, I don't want to put this down. And so I didn't. I just sat there and listened to that book for the rest of the day. And let me tell you, that ending infuriated me. And so now I'm kind of stuck between, what do I give this book? I wound up giving it 4 stars because I feel like the entertainment value is like what I mostly value in books. And so I was super entertained, could not put the book down. So I did give it 4 stars. I would have given it 3.5 if I did 0.5 stars, but I rounded up to 4. This book is not going to be for everybody. And I feel like the people that go into this book and all they want is like a Vietnam War story, that is not what you're going to get. This is a Vietnam story that has romance in it. And I feel like when I read reviews on this book, it was, how dare Kristen Hanna put all this romance in this book. And I mean, there were lots of concerns in the reviews about our main character, Frankie, and just how shallow they felt that she was about kind of flitting from man to man. I'm going to be quite honest here when I say this. I don't know what it's like to be in war times. I don't think a lot of us know that. And so the fact of the matter is, I don't know how I would act over there in war, especially when she's kind of naive. She is kind of naive. She hasn't had a lot of life experiences, and she's going over there and experiencing things for the first time, including love. And do I think particularly that she may know what love is, or she may be mistaking? Because again, she flits from one guy to the next guy. I do think, obviously she may not have been in love with those people, but I am going to put a spoiler tag here. And then when it goes off, that'll be the end of the spoilers. Okay. So please click away if you do not want to hear spoilers, because I have things to say about this book. Okay. Number 1, I really hate the cheating trope. I have always hated the cheating trope 100%. Okay. In modern day romance books. So we are in this wartime story, and I do understand that this is wartime. Okay, and there were buku-doodles of people dying all the time, and these men didn't know if they were going to die in the next freaking second. So they were cheating on their spouses 100% all the time, and I felt some kind of way about it. Now, Frankie, with our first male main character, Jamie, she does tell him, like, I'm not going to be with you. You are engaged or whatever. And I don't know if he was engaged or married, but I'm not going to be with you. You're engaged, married, whatever. And she tells him that. She loves him, but she tells him absolutely not. So I do agree with that. And then when he dies, I felt really sad about it. That was a sad moment. And then she comes back in contact with Rye, who she has known through her brother. And he's also engaged. And she tells him, of course, I'm not going to be with you because you're engaged. And of course, all somebody has to do is say, well, I'm not engaged anymore. I just called it off. Okay, fine. I don't care. I feel some type of way about what happened in the end of this book. I don't like the bring people back from the dead trope. I don't like it. I don't like it in fantasy. I don't like it here. I don't like it anywhere. And not only do you bring one person back, but you bring 2 people back. And that's a little unrealistic for me. And I don't care for that. And so that's what brought this whole book down for me, is I was like game. But when you brought Rye back from the dead, and she of course she had been through this trauma with this other man. She didn't really love him. Okay, I understand that. Like, you didn't really actually love him. You're broken after coming back from the war. I get that. PTSD. You are broken. You probably shouldn't have gotten involved with him. You probably shouldn't have done any of that. And now you've had more trauma on. But when Rye comes back and she lets that other man go because she, of course, wants to be with Rye, and then she realizes that he has lied to her about not being married and he has a child, and then she takes him back because he said he's divorcing his wife after he's already lied to you once. And then you find out he lied again because he asked you to marry him, and then you come to find out that he's having a baby with his wife. I'm sorry. This is on you. Why? Why would you take him back? And not only that, but then you give up your basically whole life for him, because then you go get drunk, crash your car, get a DUI, get rid of your nursing license, get into a psych ward. I don't know. I understand love, and I understand that she was broken, but I don't know how I feel about that. And then when you brought back the other man from the dead, that's a little over the top. That's a little bit too freaking much. I'm sorry. This did not end how I wanted it to end. I really liked it up until these points. I didn't. And it just didn't make sense. How sweet of a person Rye was over there in Vietnam. And when he thought she was hurting or in trouble, he would go to her place where she was at and check on her and make sure she was okay, and he would come and sleep with her and da 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 da, and he was so sweet. And to reconcile that person with this lying, cheating fool of her, like, I can't reconcile those two characters, to be honest, to be truly honest. I cannot reconcile those two people. Like, they don't seem like the same person. I don't know. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. Spoilers over. I did give it 4 stars just because of pure enjoyment, but there were parts in that book that made me very angry, and I don't know if this is a good feel for if I like historical fiction, because I know I like Kristin Hannah's writing style. I feel like most of the historical fiction books I've read are by Kristin Hannah, so I think the real true test will be when I read one that is not by Kristin Hannah. I definitely had issues with this book. Absolutely. But it was still entertaining, and it entertained me. I did not shed a single tear in this book, to be quite fair, but I think it's because I was listening on audio. Okay, alright, I've read The Women. I finished that book, and now I am going to move on to Wolf Gone Wild, and we will see if I like me a paranormal romance. So, Wolf Gone Wild, let's chat about it. I'm 25-ish% in. I'm not enjoying my time. I don't want to DNF another book. I want to give this time, but again, we have another insta-love situation, and is this all fantasy romance? Is nothing but insta-love? I am not sure. I don't jive with it, but we have this wolf who obviously is cursed, and he cannot shift. He cannot change, and the wolf in him is talking to him in his head, and it's two definitely separate personalities, and it reminds me of, like, obviously I think the author may have gotten some inspiration from Venom, because the little wolf that's talking to him in his head is sarcastic and quippy, and that's like the only part of this book that I'm slightly enjoying. But it's all about the boobs, and look at her boobs, and I don't know. Some of it's funny, but some of it I'm like, ugh. Of course he's been hexed, and so he has to go to the witch who knows how to remove hexes, which is our female main character. And basically he can't do anything because the wolf is just constantly in his head. He can't work, he can't whatever. And of course they're going to be forced proximity, because he's asked her to kind of be with him a few hours a day, 4 hours to be exact, in order for him to be calm enough to do some of his work, because he can't do work. His wolf wants to be violent. And anyway, he can't work. He has to be forced proximity with our female main character in order to calm him down. But of course, she already likes him at 25% and he likes her. So where are we going with the other 75% of this book? I don't know. The only plot in this book is that he's been cursed. Are we going to figure out who cursed him? I don't know. Maybe that's the plot. But I'm going to switch over to audio and see if that does better for me. And if it doesn't, we're just going to this book too. I feel bad about it, but it is what it is. I will check in when I make a decision. Okay, so we're in the future because I forgot to tell you guys what my final thoughts are on Wolf Gone Wild. So we will talk about it here. I will end up giving this book 3 stars. I felt like this was a paranormal romance, but it was more on the cozier side. There wasn't a lot of, to me, fantasy in this book, except that, you know, there are shifters and witches. So he is a wolf and she is a witch, but I felt like on a basic level we got some magic, some interesting things, but it was more like on the cozy side. And when I'm looking for a fantasy romance book, I want a book that, again, has some really great fantasy elements, and I just felt like that was not what this was. So I didn't care for the romance portion of this book either. So I won't be continuing on with the series. This is a series of standalones, like interconnected standalones. There's like a whole bunch of sisters, I think, that these books follow. It is wonderful if you like these books. I just particularly don't. So I give this one 3 stars. So how do I feel? I don't think that this particular video is going to tell me much about historical fiction or fantasy romance, right? So I think we'll have to keep digging, keep reading these books from these genres to see if I truly like them or not. I know you can hear my dog. She is over here hassling. because she wants attention, and I am sitting on the floor, and so anytime I sit on the floor, they gravitate towards me because they want food and they want pettings and lovings. But anyway, that is all I have to say about that. Let me know if you read any of these books in the comments down below. Tell me what you thought of them. Did you love them? Did you not love them? And I will catch you guys in the next one.